Our country already hosts military infrastructure as the United States and France. China had already announced its intention to establish a logistics support base for its naval forces, being confirmed by the President Guelleh. The Republic of Djibouti is an important point of navy concentration of several countries participating in the fight against maritime piracy. Questioned by the international press while attending the 2060 African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, that China has the right to defend its interests as much as any other country in the world. The President Guelleh future state that Djibouti aimed to be the Singapore of the region. We did have invested heavily on our infrastructure to be a financial, commercial and logistic center, he said. Around $12.4 billion have been invested for these proposals. This investment was in a part facilitated by credit granted by the Popular China. Our ambition are legitimate, said President Guelleh. This is what will help us to reduce greatly the unemployment. It will have an impact on it. Chinese investments are tremendous. Djibouti at President Ismail Guelleh, and royalties from this base will be used to repay the debt contracts by Djibouti for its investment. The head of state also stressed that he can understand the concern of some Western countries, but these do not justify it, especially when these countries have the same refueling, logistic facilities and warship supply.
The head of state, His Excellency Ismail Guelleh, received today the Presidential Palace delegation composed of the IGAD member diplomatic institute directors for a 48-hour stay in Djibouti. This meeting focusing on the implementation context of what the diplomatic IGAD institute will bring for the sub-region economic integration. The Djibouti Diplomatic Studies Institute Director Mr. Ali Musa Megag said the advice given by the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Guelleh, to the IGAD Diplomatic Studies Institute leaders was that their department should contribute to the higher and efficient level to the goal of a successful region integration. Mr. Ali Musa Megag continued to explain how the IGAD Diplomatic Studies Institute could complete with the objective of economic integration of the sub-region. The sub-region countries' diplomatic flows animate preliminary training by the technician and official of the departments in charge of economic in their respective countries, he said. Thus, they acquire necessary skill in the competition for the economic integration in the sub-region. He added the Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, took part of the meeting between the President of the Republic and the directors of the Diplomatic Institute of the IGAD members countries.
Diplomatic training in itself, we are integrating as a region, thinking the same way, having a sense of belonging to the same region, having the sense of common interest in tackling challenges that face us as a region, especially international terrorism, climate change, issues of trade and investment for economic growth, and so on and so forth. We are so happy to know each other through the Djibouti Initiative, which is organized by the government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation with the assistance of IGAD, European Union, and an international expert who is leading us in discussing these issues. I just want to say in conclusion that as people of this region, like any other human being, we love to belong. And where we belong is the Horn of Africa and the region, which is generally covered by IGAD. We'll be very happy to think the same way, have a common attitude, and attack or tackle the common issues in the same way so that we succeed in stabilizing this region, to have peace, to have proper development agenda with good policies that will assist us to deal with international partners so that we progress and achieve our desirable development goals.
During his intervention, the director of Institute Diplomatic Academic has made a speech.
délégates qui sont des ambassadeurs. Donc il a notre région confronte une situation difficile dans le domaine économique. Nous sommes en train de faire.
The National Gendarmerie celebrate today at the Sheikh Musa Training Center located at PK 23 its 39th anniversary, but also the 17th anniversary of its institutional independence. Under the leadership of the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, the commemorative ceremony has been attended by the National Assembly President Muhammad Ali Hamad, the Defense Minister Hassan Darar Humfani, members of government, parliamentarians, representatives of the diplomatic and consular corps, senior military officials from the respective rank of the National Army and foreign forces based in the country. This noble institution, indeed, the Gendarmerie, was created in June the 6th in 1977 alongside the Djiboutian Army Forces at a time called National Djiboutian Army. It was placed under the authorities of a senior civil servant who was known as the National Gendarmerie General Director in 1980. The Gendarmerie is a part of National Djiboutian Army, and its top commander takes the title of police chief. The post of director doesn't exist anymore. It is and then passed under the command of General Chief of Staff of the Army in July 13 in 1988 by the presidential decree after 20 years of a military gendarmerie access. The Gendarmerie access autonomy that recognizes its particular status as a military security forces. It became a wholly forces within the National Defense Department under the command of a National Gendarmerie Chief of Staff. This institutional autonomy allows her to have its own operating budget and distinct from the army forces, and was definitely a big step in the evolution of national police forces.
The event starts with the traditional review of the Troop of Honor that Defense Minister Hassan Darar Humfani and the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed conduct under the feet of the Chief of Staff of the National Gendarmerie. It's with all components of the National Gendarmerie, and it's articulated as follows: the National Music Judicial Group, the Specialized Group, the Intervention Group, the Mobile Gendarmerie, the Intervention Group of the National Gendarmerie, known as IGN, a detachment of the female staff of the Gendarmerie, and finally an official delegation of officers. After the troop traditional review, the ceremony has begun with a verse from the Holy Quran. The wife of the late Lieutenant Hussein Muhammad Ad-Dabbar received a military decoration and great promotion to her late husband. The participant then moved to the memorial and to dispose it worth in memory of the fallen policy in the service. Let's bear in mind that the specify of the Gendarmerie forces is that it has its own military statute, and at the same time it is in a public service performing various police missions such as the judicial police, administrative police, economic police, military police, law enforcement, in order to ensure that good and people safety in other public. As such, its work, its several ministerial departments, particularly in its organization of the Department of National Defense and Employment, the Department of Justice for Enforcement, the Ministry of Interior for the maintenance of the order, and the Ministry of Transport Road Safety.
The Colonel of the National Gendarmerie has made a speech paying tribute to the Deputy Lieutenant Hussein Mohammed Badr, a commander of a brigade of Ali Sabih. He then gave an overview of the National Gendarmerie and the effort they have made to better meet our citizens in terms of playing. The Colonel also, in the term of security, they also recall all time that the gendarmerie has always been aware of its responsibility and the ties of aspiration of our citizen gendarmerie and apprehend its mission as a sincere duties all faith. He said the police work to the implementation of the security plan of action. The gendarmerie has also attached the special interest of the people.
And then the Defense Minister, Mr. Musa Ahmed Hassan, has made in the discourse he talked about the National Gendarmerie that reflect in the spirit of distribution, honesty, availability of quality, value, respect, and continued government security granted to provision. The Gendarmerie has the material and financial means necessary for strengthening the capacity revolution to the self from the year 2004 bear the freak this year with the creation of several units for maintain order and the fight against terrorism. Then as well as a professionalism, finally the minister has thanked the head of state and supreme commander of the army, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, who was always respond favorably to our many caring.
In his speech, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed has first recalled the importance of the National Gendarmerie is for our fellow citizen. He then said being a policeman is a noble vocation entirely dedicated to the community, serves with the defense of our country, and being a policeman requires a great courage facing a violence crime and a crime as the gendarmerie police are on the forefront of a line more than ever. The terrorist threat is present in the neighboring country, and the attack in May 2014 remind us to be vigilant in our work and that the nation is continuing on you for the preserve its dangerous act.
Last Thursday morning came to an end. A parade of a different troop of the gendarmerie, the musical troop of the Djiboutian army, opened the parade, followed by the female staff, the respective detachment of the judicial group, specialized group, the intervention group, the gendarmerie mobile compartment block 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The intervention group of the national gendarmerie closed the rank of the military parade under the applause, simple anonymous personalities, and recruit at the scene. After the parade, officials were invited to a breakfast in Wagari Hila. The group started a thank to the head of state support.
عالمي
first IGAD Directors Diplomatic Academies Conference has been inaugurated this morning by the Foreign Affairs Minister, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, at the Djibouti Diplomatic Studies Institute within the presence of the European Union Ambassador in Djibouti, Mr. Joseph Silva, the IGAD Executive Secretary, Mr. Mahboub Maalin, the United Nations Development Program representative in the country, Ms. Valerie Cliff. This 2 days meeting will develop a closer regional cooperation by training diplomat, but also preventive diplomacy. The EU envelope region to the IGAD region for the 2014 and 2020 period could support this initiative with an estimate of 18 million euros. With a foreign that IGAD just celebrated its 30th anniversary, and the work with close ties of the European Union in many areas such as conflict and prevention, resilience, and exploitation of natural research.
Support us. We make many meetings with the United Nations System Year representative with her job. We thank her to support us, our project.
In his intervention, the Foreign Minister, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, initially wanted to welcome the IFDA for this meeting, where we have to honor of our welcome the head of Institute Diplomatic Study for the country, from a country in the region of Somalia, Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda, and South Sudan. Our region remains a destination of this same great challenge we face together as his conflict and internal crisis, terrorism and piracy. Then the minister said the environment and El Nino phenomenon, the objective of sustainable development as a part of the agenda post 2050, and need an accelerated regional economic integration should let us to initiate partnership between the institute which aim to promote human capital and capacity building, conclude the minister.
The Labour Ministry has today hosted to the signing of a collective signing agreement under the leadership of the Labour Minister Abdi Hussein, the private agents to the private sector such as the AGS, Jib Clean and Jib Interim and the like were present at the ceremony, and the workers' union. The agreement which tend to facilitate the working relationship between agencies and private sector employees in order to make available in respecting the Labour Code and Decree number 2004 and 0054. These mission concerning on the regulation on the private agencies. The implementation of this agreement will allow implementation the work duration, but also putting an end the unemployment and the lack of joy and insecurity.
For this opportunity, the Minister of Labour Abdi Hussein make a related speech. He said, "It's been 33 years that we have prepared this agreement. Some salary reclaim us to put an end to these injustice, because it put them in a precarious, and nearly 40,000 who are concerned by this convention are husband person out of the precarious case of this policy initiated by the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, which has to help the poor among us."
Health news now. The Minister of Health, Dr. Qasim Isaaq Osman, has today received in his office a medical mission of the NGO patronage, the cardiac surgery, composed of specialists in cardiac surgery from France, who is staying in Djibouti since January the 31 to February the 4th, 2016. This medical mission work in the close collaboration with the National Pediatric Cardiologist and of Pelletier General Hospital doctor to perform the selection of young children with heart malformation and who need to a quick surgery. The purpose of this medical mission is voluntary, and it is to screen children and take them to France to undergo an heart operation. For the moment of 12 children have the urgent need to be operated. The Minister of Health, Dr. Qasim Isaac Osman, thanked the NGO medical support he offered the world for the sick kids, and he said it is a great opportunity for our children.
The first meeting between parents and teachers were held yesterday afternoon in a primary school of the country within the presence of the Basic Education Department head, Mr. Abdi Dirir, who oversaw the ongoing situation. This meeting came at the end of the second quarter of the school year, and it is an opportunity for giving to the parents of the school report. This is a special time where the teacher finds time to inform parents about the school and the work of their children, but also an opportunity for the parents to establish regular contact with the teacher to monitor their children, both from the point of view of consistency, seriousness, and diligence they put into their schoolwork. Yesterday, the parents were able to find answers to their question on all topics related to the education for their children. During this meeting, teachers were able to give them satisfaction on the strengths and weaknesses of their students and a possible solution, faster remediation for academic success. This week is therefore a special time dedicated to this parents-teacher meeting in school of the country, both in the capital and in the region.
As part of the meeting of the international sports preparation in the next March in Djibouti, Athletics Federation of Work Food in Planning and Operation of National Championship Teams entitled the intensive training have already started inside the country and outside to better prepare international athletes, and directed by local coaches and the technical committee members of the federation on stage Balbala. This time of the meeting of regular practice, this training that take place under the supervision of one of the oldest coach with the federation, of this case Jean Pierre, and together best athletes registered to different categories of national champion athletes. These athletes are supposed to participate in meeting international sport competition in the first of its kind in Djibouti. Internationally, Djibouti Athletics Federation and the Golden invited the Union of Neighboring Countries, which is really athletes developed, to send their athletes.
And now on the regional and international level, the 10th U.S.-Africa Business Summit, which aimed to bolster business and investment ties between the United States and Africa, cricket and her on Monday. The summit also meant to establish a new partnership between U.S. and Africa business entity and consolidate the existing one. In his opening speech, Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn has called U.S. companies to widely engage in Africa's investment opportunities. He added that Africa has wide investment opportunity in the area of agriculture, infrastructure, health, agro-processing, and agribusiness, light manufacturing, energy, leisure product, textile, transport and pharmaceutical sector are the major priority area to invest. Haile Mariam Say, chairperson of the African Union Commission, Dr. Nkosana Dlamini Zuma, state on her part that Africa become a right place to do business and urge for an increasing participation of the U.S. company in the continent's market.
And still with the regional news, in the framework of the fight against terrorism, the General Service Unit has received more than 30 newly imported and the personal carriers to help in the fight against terror and terrorism attack organized by crime. The vehicles were delivered the CGO and headquarters on Saturday after they had been shifted into the country from China and at the unknown cost. Said Mohammed for more information.
Kenya Police Service has received a major boost in its capacity to fight crime and maintain law and order. 30 armored personnel carriers have been commissioned by President Uhuru Kenyatta at the General Service Unit headquarters in Nairobi. The initiative, which is the first of its kind in Kenya history, is an effort to avert insurgency attack and combat organized crime in the country. The state-of-the-art armored vehicle will give officers mobility, especially those deployed in volatile areas, as well as save officers from attack by armed militia who use advanced weaponry. Kenya security forces have heightened efforts to fight extremism and Al-Qaeda branch Al-Shabaab.
The continental news now. Lesotho is preparing for a humanitarian disaster while millions of people are threatened in dryness and hunger, planning currency across Said Mohammed.
The government of Southern African nation of Lesotho has declared a national emergency as dryness continues to hit farming communities. The World Food Programme said hundreds of thousands of people will need food aid in the coming year. In the Leribe district of the country, Mapuleng Kalala, a farmer, packs away her empty corn bag as her crops fail to produce food for her family. It is going to be very difficult to live in this situation because I live on farming, so I don't know what I'm going to feed my children, she told. The WFP said the dryness will hit 80% of Lesotho rural population the hardest. Most people in rural areas are dependent on subsistence farming, and a severe shortage of potable water is making the situation worse. Already, more than half of the country's population survive on less than $1 a day. The worst case scenario, if we do not react now, we will have people without their assets, their cows and their sheep, said Mary and Jagore at WFP officials. The government has pledged $10 million for dryness relief, but it needs 3 times that amount. Across the mountains, farmers like Mapuleng said any rain now would be too late as the winter approach. Community worry about the road ahead.
This is it for this edition. Thank you for your attention and have a wonderful evening.